Yesterday we learned that matter is anything that takes up space. So look around your house or wherever you are right now and look at all of the different types of matter. Maybe you have a bottle of water nearby. Maybe you are breathing in air. Maybe you see a chair or a table. All of those things, even the air that you breathe in, are taking up space. So they are all types of matter. Now, matter comes in different states. Matter can be classified by its state. Solids, liquids, and gases are all physical states of matter. Each state has specific characteristics. For example, solids have a definite shape. A brick is a solid. So look at that table, look at that chair. Anything that has a definite shape, it's not going to change shape just because you put it into a bowl or into a balloon or something like that. If it has a definite shape, it is a solid. Liquids, such as milk in a bottle, take the shape of their containers. Liquids do not necessarily fill a container completely. So if you take a bottle of water that's in a long, thin bottle and you pour it into a big bowl, the shape of the water is going to change. The water would have been kind of in a cylinder shape in the bottle, and then when you pour it into that big bowl, it's going to change into more of a flat shape. And this happens with all liquids. So you can take any liquid and put it into any container and it will take the shape of that container. If you have ever seen a balloon floating in the air, you have seen an object filled with gas. Gases have no definite shape. Gases spread out to completely fill a closed container. So I want you to take a deep breath in for a minute. You just breathed in a gas, and when you did that, the container that it spread out in was your lungs, and you can kind of feel your chest get bigger because that gas is spreading out completely to fill that container, and that happens with all gases, whether you're filling a balloon or a bag or a room full of air. Whatever the gas is that you're filling the object with, the gas will spread out completely to fill that container. So let's talk for a minute about gases. Why do gases fill the container? Because they have these little tiny particles. Hopefully you can see this. Let me make sure here. See these little tiny particles here? These are the particles that make up the matter of gas. And you can see, I'm going to make the picture a little bigger, that they are all spread out. They're spread far apart. So the little particles that make up gas are spread far apart, and then that way they can fill whatever container they get put in. So they just keep spreading apart until the container is full. Solids are very different. For something that's solid, like a brick or a chair or a popsicle, the particles that make up that solid are packed very close together. They're close together and they vibrate just a little bit. They move or they jiggle in place, but they don't spread out. They stay very, very close together. That's why if you take a solid object, maybe like a stapler, and you were to put it in that same bowl like you did the liquid, the stapler is just going to keep its shape because all the particles that make up this stapler are packed really, really tight together, and they're not going to spread out. No matter what container I put this stapler in, those particles are going to stay packed very tight together. And then we have liquid, and for a liquid, for example, the water that you drink, the ocean, a lake, a river, the particles of a liquid are farther apart. The particles move more freely than the particles of a solid. So with a liquid, those tiny particles that you really can't see without a very high-powered microscope, those tiny particles are just moving all over the place. And when you put them into a bottle, for example, they'll move all over and take the shape of the bottle. When you put them into a bowl, they move all over and they take the shape of the bowl. So all matter, solids, liquids, and gases, are made of these teeny tiny particles that you really can't see unless you have a very high-powered microscope. The difference is how close together the particles are. So in a solid, the particles are very close together, very tight. In a liquid, they're a little farther apart and they move very freely. And in a gas, they're even farther apart and they move all over the place until they hit the edge of the container. That's how come they fill the container.